What's up, you guys? My name is Austin Marks, and welcome back to the channel. So today I have Tim with me. He's going to talk about how he runs a fitness thing in his church, and he's going to talk about his testimony and what he's doing fitness-wise, and he's just going to dive into it. So if you just want to start off by introducing yourself.
Yeah, hey everybody. Like Austin said, my name's Tim. I live in Michigan, just a little bit north of Ann Arbor. And yeah, we started something really cool at our church, and it's kind of spreading. So I thought it'd be a great topic to talk about. I know it's a lot of things that men are looking for right now, so it's kind of a hot topic. But we started a group called Warriors Way. And what Warriors Way is it's a men's only fitness group. And we meet every Saturday morning outdoors. So like I said, I'm in Michigan. So it's rain or shine, snow or sleet, hail, whatever. We're meeting outside every week. And we meet bright and early, 7:16. And there's a reason behind that I can share later. But 7:16 to about 8 o'clock. And we do a kind of a full body circuit style workout. And we use a cinder block for weights. It adds a little bit of toughness into it, and it keeps me from having to pull all my gym equipment to and from the parking lot every week. So it's kind of a double, whammy there. But we work out for about 30, 40 minutes, and then we have a devotion. So we'll sit down in a circle, kind of share something that God's laid on our hearts for the week. And members also share. So if they have something like, hey, Tim, let me talk this week, it's all for them. So this is kind of a group run by the participants. So we'll sit and hang out, talk for a little bit about Jesus, and then we usually go grab a good cup of coffee and sit around and carry on some deeper conversations after that. So we just celebrated 1 year. We've been doing it for 1 year consistently. And in October, we celebrated that. So we had a big day. We had 22 guys show up. Typically, we're around that 8 to 10 mark. And what it's designed for really is to create community for men. I grew up in church, and we didn't have a lot of things that were fun for men to do to kind of connect in the church. It was, there was a prayer breakfast or a Thursday afternoon men's group that kind of went out in the community. But there really wasn't a big push, especially for younger guys, to really get involved and connect in a church. And so throughout some of my training and my journey that I've been on, I've found how beneficial it can be for men to do hard things together, and how they connect and they grow when they're put through challenges with each other. And so I kind of wanted to do something like that in our church. And, I'm looking around, and there's so many guys that I know just want more, but they don't really know how to get it. They're not going to be the ones that are going to go to the visitor's desk after church and say, hey, sign me up for a men's group. They need something more. And this is, improving our spiritual lives, but it's also improving our physical lives. It's improving our community. So it's been awesome. We've seen a lot of really cool things come from that group. A lot of men have come a long way in the last year. And it's been a great time.
Now, when you brought this up to your pastor originally, what were his thoughts about it?
So our church, we're a pretty big church. We're one church in two places. So we have a big, huge campus about 30 minutes from me. And then we have a smaller satellite campus about 10, 15 minutes from me. So the pastor that runs our satellite campus is actually in charge of all the men's groups for our church. So I was able to talk with him, and he's like, well, if God's laying this on your heart, you better listen to him. What do you need from me? And I was like, I just need permission to use the parking lot every week. Like, I don't need the building. I don't need resources. I don't need you to go buy anything. So it was a really low investment for the church because all he had to do is give us permission to use the parking lot. And it hasn't come up much, but there'd be some events going on there on Saturday where people are coming in to set up, and they're texting him like, hey, there's a bunch of weird guys out here working out in the parking lot. You know about this? He's like, yeah, it's one of our new men's groups. So he's been all for it, and he's been extremely supportive. So I can't ask for more than that.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm reading the book right now, Stand Firm and Act Like Men. I think that's what it's called, by Jacoby Martin, I think his name is. You've probably seen him before.
Yeah.
He's a bald dude, has the long white beard.
I listen to his sermons on YouTube all the time.
Love him. But basically, in the book, he's talking about how like a lot of these men's groups, or like just men in general, they go to church, and um, sometimes getting the guys involved in church, like it just seems very passive with some of the things, like, oh, we go and we're going to sing, and we're going to pray, and just it just seems like things that aren't very out there for men to want to do. Like, you know how we're all hoorah, we just want to go, go, go. Um, and one of the things that he talks about is he used the Bible verse from Exodus. I forget exactly what it's called, but or the Bible verse exactly. But God says, "I am a warrior," and God made us in His image, so therefore we're warriors. And that's kind of what I like. I really like when he talked about that in his book. If you haven't read that book yet, highly suggest you go check it out. But I definitely feel like you are probably already taking a lot of what he's doing and saying and using it in your Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like that old, kind of idea of whatever you search for, you're going to find. Whatever your mind is set to, whatever direction you're going, whether it's good or bad, you're going to find things to build up that narrative. So, like when we started this, just all that influence and content started coming into my life to kind of solidify the fact that we are on the right track. Like we called it Warrior's Way because I truly believe that we are at war with an enemy that has big plans for us just as much as God does. And his greatest way to attack the church is through the family. And his greatest way to attack the family is through the men. Um, the standard guy wakes up on Saturday morning around, 9 or 10 o'clock, throws on College Game Day, throws a jersey on, sits around, watches football, maybe mows the lawn or does some stuff around the house, but they're not very engaged. And I've been there I'm still there at times. Same thing on Sunday. It's like when I used to go to church, I'd come in, I'd sit in the back because I want to be out as soon as I can. I don't want to stop and talk to anybody. I got errands to run. I got football to watch. I just want to get home. I want to come in, do my check-in with Jesus, and then go home. And that's the story for a lot of guys. And that's right where the devil and the enemy wants us. He wants us unengaged. He wants us unparticipant. And Joby Martin, he talks about like standing firm. He uses that verse, stand firm and act like men. And are we acting like men? Or are we acting like, kids? And what I looked at my life was like, man, I got a wife. I got 2 kids of my own. I got a job. I got all these things. But in every other area, I'm acting immature and I'm acting like a child. Like it's time to grow up. And what does that look like? Growing up physically is meaning taking care of my body and taking things seriously. But growing up spiritually means getting rooted in Jesus and bringing others with me in that. And I'm not alone. There's people that are, doing this with me and bringing me along too. So it's very much a community driven group. It's been really fun to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like you were saying, like you have kids, our kids watch everything we do, and I feel like a lot of dads do kind of just take the passive role, and they're not necessarily leading their families. And I'm sure your kids see you going out for runs, working out in the mornings, doing this thing on the Saturday with the guys, and just getting in the Word as well, which I think is just awesome.
Yeah, I've had to bring the kids with me a couple of times because my wife will be out of town or something, and like our thing is we're going to be every week, no matter what. So if we're out of town, somebody else is going to run it. But if I'm in town, I'm going, and I'm not going to not go because of a childcare issue. I'm just going to bring them with me, and I'll bring some sidewalk chalk so they can color all over the parking lot or whatever. But what happens is she's my daughter. She's not a man, right? But she jumps in and starts doing push-ups with us and doing little squats with us, and it's hilarious to watch. But yeah, you're right. Our kids are watching everything we do. When I come home on Saturday, Daddy, were you exercising? And yep, I was exercising at church. Yep, I was at church. What? That's crazy, And but they're watching everything we do. We are their example, and we're setting the tone and the path for how they're going to grow up and develop.
I love that. So how do you come up with the workouts that you're going to do on a Saturday morning? Do you, I know it's like a lot of functional training, I imagine.
Yeah.
What gives you these ideas
So
to do it?
I started, there's a whiteboard behind me. You can kind of see I have a couple of the first workouts we did, but I started with just, hey, squats, push-ups, lunges, that kind of stuff. And, after a couple weeks, I'm like, man, I'm running out of ideas. So I actually, I use ChatGPT. So I've used ChatGPT to help create the logos and everything. And now it kind of knows what I'm asking. So every week I'll just go on there. I need a Warriors Way workout, and it sends me exactly what I'm doing. It knows it's about 40 minutes. It knows we need a warm up and a cool down, and we have a cinder block for our weight. So it's not telling me to do bench press or something. It's telling me to do everything with a brick. And that actually has been great for me too, because it's something I'm not creating, which is giving me time back and energy back, but it's also leaving the workout a surprise for me too. Because what I found was I was tailoring the workouts to what I wanted to do. And now every week it's kind of my workout that I'm inviting everybody else to join into. Now I get to be mad when there's burpees on the list, just like everybody else is, right? And they can't be mad at me. They got to be mad at AI. So yeah, every Friday I usually throw in ChatGPT and get a workout for the week, write it on I have a big whiteboard now that I bring with me and just set up on the back of my truck. And I write it down what we're going to do. I use an app. It's called the Tabata app, and it's free. And you can basically program in different timing segments. So typically our exercises are 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So if we're going to do push-ups, it's 40 seconds of push-ups and then 20 seconds rest before we go to squats or thrusters or lunges or whatever the next exercise is. And it keeps it moving for you. So once I hit start at the beginning, I don't touch the phone again until it's over, and it gives you prompts when to move on. And that lets everybody kind of move at their own pace. So if you're working out every day and you're a stud athlete, you can get a good workout in on Saturday morning. But if you're just getting off the couch and you're coming for your first time, you're moving at your pace. Like if you can do 50 push-ups in that 20 or in that 40 seconds, go for 50. If you can only do 10, go for 10. If you have to take a break and keep moving. But it lets everybody stay together and move at their pace. So everybody's getting the same kind of output at the end of the workout. So that's been really good because we do have a lot of different variations of, younger guys, older guys that work out all the time, run a lot, that have crazy endurance, to guys that this might be the only time they're working out in the week. So it's everything in between, very low barrier to entry. And that's what's been really attractive for a lot of guys, is that they don't have to commit to a lot. They don't have to make sure that they can bench press 200 pounds or something like that. They just got to get off the couch and come.
Yeah. And you're not bringing these guys into like a super killer workout right off the bat. You're like, okay, you guys just do your pace, rather than them puking on the on the side of the road and saying, I am never coming back to Tim to work out ever again.
Well, there is a level. I mean, guys, we're competitive, right? And we're ego driven. So when you see the guy next to you hasn't stopped yet, you want to keep going, and you try to keep up with the person next to you. And so for the first couple of weeks, most guys leave and they're texting me by Wednesday and Thursday, like, dude, I can't walk. My legs hurt so bad. It's like, yeah, because you were trying to do more than you could. But in one way, it's good for them because you're pushing yourself. And then they realize, okay, I could push myself, but I need to know like where I need to slow down or where I need to pick up, and be encouraged by the guys next to me as opposed to just competing with them.
Now, I'm sure it started off with just people in your church, but have other people from the community come and been a part of this?
Yeah, actually, when it started, there was one guy from my like church small group that we do life with. He was with me, and then there was another guy that doesn't go to my church at all. And so the three of us kind of started it. Most of the people that come don't go to my church. There's maybe a couple that come here and there, but a lot of the guys might go to another church in the community. I post every week in our community Facebook page. I just post our end of the workout picture. We take a picture every week. So I post our picture like, hey, we had 10 guys out this week that woke up early, came and got a good workout in and enjoyed some community. We'd love you to join us next week. And then you got men commenting, oh, what time? What are the details? Yeah, I'll join. I'll come out there. So it's actually grown into more people from our community. And I told our pastor at the beginning, I'm like, my goal for this is not to grow your church. I hope people come to church through this, and I'm definitely going to invite them to church through this. But my goal for this is to create a community of men who are striving to be the best versions of themselves for Jesus, for their families, and for the community. And when you look around, that's really what this is. There's people that don't go to church at all. There's people that come that may not believe in Jesus, and this might be the only words of wisdom they're hearing from the Bible every week. But they're coming because they're connected to community, and eventually you see those relationships grow. And then we go to coffee. So we're sitting there at coffee, and somebody opens up about something they're struggling with in life, or marriage or anything like that, and we're able to sit there and encourage each other and support each other in the other challenges that are going on in life. So we work out, but the workout portion is a very small portion of what it's become. So that's been great.
Yeah, I do think that's so powerful, because people that don't go to church or don't even believe in Jesus may come to your workouts and they see, oh, Tim and all these other guys that I kind of relate to are all driven by Jesus, and they have a relationship with him, and they're helping me in some form, and they'll grab onto you guys and then grab onto Jesus, and you guys are just planting that seed in people, which I think is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, again, I grew up in an area where we were out with shirts and ties, standing on street corners, trying to stop people on their way into coffee and tell them about Jesus. Which there's definitely times and places for that, and I'm not by any means knocking that, but I'm trying to look at things from my perspective. If I was on the other side of being lost, I'm not giving time of day. Like when I'm out doing errands, I'm focused on doing errands, and I'm not going to stop and deviate to listen to 10, 15 minutes of a kid tell me where I'm wrong. Right. And this is, we don't water it down. I don't tell guys, oh yeah, we work out and then we go get coffee. Oh, there's a little devotion in there, but don't worry about that. If you're not really interested, you can just not listen. I tell them, hey, this is a faith-based fitness program or a fitness group. We meet at our church. We do work out, but the point is to grow each other in our faith, our family, and our fitness. So we'd love you to join us. And that's one thing God's really worked on my heart over the last couple of years, is just being bold about it. But I think there's a tactful way to be bold about it and a weird way. And a lot of times we go to what's easiest. What's easiest is for me just to stand there and stop anybody I talk to. And I do. I try to wear something that's going to tell people that, hey, you can come talk to me about Jesus. And I try to use every opportunity I interact with people. But this has been a great way for men just to, hey, what's going on over there? Like, okay, 10, 12, 13 of you are working out every Saturday morning and you're talking about God. Like, I think it's something that a lot of men are searching for right now, especially in, today's day and age. I think it's more relevant than it has been in my life. So I think it's really important.
I agree with you 100%. And I love what you're doing. And I know you've probably thought about expanding it in some way, shape, or form. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, that's kind of happening organically. So through one of the other races I was doing, we had a guy visit from Colorado. His cousin was up here training with us, and he flew in from Colorado one weekend to train for one of these races. And I told my buddy Doug, I'm like, that's awesome, they're coming, but it's Saturday morning. We got to do Warriors Way first. And so they came and joined us for Warriors Way. Here we are a year later, and that guy reached out to me and he's like, hey, I've been praying about something. I would really like to start a Warriors Way out here in Colorado. Would you be open to that? And so they're now on, this is going on their third week of meeting. So we officially have Warriors Way in Colorado meeting every Saturday as well. So it's officially growing and expanding, which is not really my intention at all. But if it happens, now we had, 10 guys here in Michigan on Saturday. We had 6 guys out in Colorado meet on Saturday. And it's just, kind of growing organically like that. And it's cool to watch. And I told him the same thing my pastor told me. I was like, if God's telling you to do it, you better start soon. Like, let's go.
I agree. I think that's awesome. And I'm meeting with a buddy now at my church, and we're kind of talking about how we need some kind of men's thing. We have one right now, but if you go, it's all people that are 65 plus. And so I brought up Warriors Way and talked about exactly what you were doing. And he loved the idea, and he was thinking about we're still working out everything, but he just loved the fact that it was a bunch of guys getting together doing something hard. So I may be hitting you up a little bit later, depending on what we want to do.
When I started it, it was me and two other guys, and one guy's been with me, Doug. He was on here a little bit ago, watching. I saw his comment, but I told him I might have to make you delete limit the comments because I was afraid of what he'd say. But he's been with me every week, and we both, over the last year, there's been times where there wasn't very many people coming, and we both kind of got discouraged about, like, man, we really want this to grow and all that. And we had to remind each other when we started, we told each other, like, if it's just me and you meeting every Saturday and getting a workout in, talking about Jesus and grabbing a cup of coffee, that's a pretty good way to start a weekend. And so we fact checker present, there he is. So what we had to remind ourselves and what we had to get back to is God's not calling us to grow this. He's calling us to just be present and be walk through the doors that he's opening. So, there's the verse in the Bible. I don't remember what the verse is, but where two or three are gathered together in my name, I am there also. And that's the important thing is, if you're going to do it, start it and let God bring the people. It's our job to get the word out there and to use the resources God's given us to kind of spread the word. But it's his job to lay it on the hearts of men to get off the couch and go. So it takes pressure off me. I don't have to call people every week and be like, come on, man, you really need to be there. You really need this. I make sure they know that it's every Saturday. So if they choose to come one weekend, it's not going to be a weekend we're just not having it. And if there's 2 of us there, awesome. And if there's 10 of us there, great. But we're going to do it no matter what.
And I felt the same way a lot of times before with Top Fitness, even, where you're just discouraged. But once again, that brings us back to like our slogan, which is be the 1%, reach the 1%. So you don't need a million people there paying attention to what you're doing. If you can help one person out there or one person watching you, then that makes it totally worth it. And just keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. And what you start to see is there's many more people are watching you than comment on your videos or like your videos or show up at your Saturday morning workout. There's many more eyes that are seeing it that you just sometimes don't notice, or there's no way to notice. They're not going to give you that feedback, but they're watching. And I think that's important too. Like God calls us to bear his witness and to be a witness. And you don't know what he's doing in the lives and hearts of other people. It's just our job to show up and be that witness.
Yes, that is so true, because like you see how all the views you can get on a certain video, and then there's like 2 comments, but yet you see the same people watching your videos or your stuff over and over again, and you know that you're having a good impact on that person, but yet they're not making any kind of effort to reach out quite yet. But the seed is definitely planted, and you're working Jesus in there.
Yeah. And then when things go off, they know exactly where to turn. They know who to come to. And that's what's important.
Yes, for sure. I know even in work, I've had people that they don't really comment on anything or whatever, but then they hit a rough patch and they know they can come to me and I will give them godly advice or faith or advice that comes from Jesus, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know that you have a race coming up in December. You were trying to get me to do. I went for a 2-mile run this morning, and it was a little rough. We're getting back into it. Tell me where you're at with your fitness and what you're doing besides Warriors Way.
Yeah, so I've got a long history with fitness and a long history with weight loss, weight gain, weight loss again. And um, probably, it had to be 2000, probably 2017, 2018. I signed up for my first Ragnar relay, which, if you're not familiar, Ragnar is a series of races, goes all over the country, and they do these relay teams. And it's kind of a really fun way to get involved in different kinds of running other than like 5Ks and stuff. But you get a team of people and you kind of relay hopscotch your way across like a 200-ish mile course, which sounds intimidating, but with 12 people, you're each running about 10 to 13 miles spread out over 3 different runs that are usually 6 to 8 hours apart. So it's kind of like a 5 to 10K every 8 hours for, to 3 times. So it's pretty manageable. And I started that just to try to lose weight. So that was kind of my first introduction to running. In high school, I did everything I could to stay away from running, and I hated it with a passion. But through that, we started raising money for charities. And the charity we chose was Muscular Dystrophy Association. We had kind of a unique story into that organization, so we chose to raise money for them. So we did several years of raising money, and then in 2021, they reached out to me and another guy in September, and we're like, hey, it's height of COVID at this time, and not many races are happening, but the New York City Marathon was still on for that year. And they reached out and asked if I would consider running the marathon with them. And I had never ran over 6 miles in one run before that. And so I'm kind of a yes man. When things come up, I usually say yes, and I figure out how to do it later. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, oh crap, what did I just sign up for? And so I had to, with 6 weeks of training, I had to go from running 6 miles that, was my longest run to training for a marathon. And we ran that marathon, and it was the most terrible thing I've ever done. It was painfully awful. But when I finished, my buddy was like, okay, I did my bucket list marathon. I'm never doing that again. And I was like, wait, that was one of the world majors. There's only 5 more. Like I can do 5 more, and I can say that I've ran all the world major marathons. Like that's a pretty cool accomplishment. So I'm goal driven. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And so I've ran 4 marathons now. And last year, Doug peer pressured me, much like I was trying to do you, into this crazy race in Tennessee. And this is at the same course as the one I'm training for now, but it's a different format. It's a last man standing. So you have 20 minutes to complete this loop. And so I went down there with really high expectations and big goals, and completely blew up. So I had an injury leading to it, but I really wasn't in shape like I needed to be. I wasn't trained like I needed to be. And so I went down there. I lasted for 2 hours and had to drop out because I didn't meet the time limit. And it really left a lot to be desired from it. So I kind of took that as my charge this summer to get healthy, drop some weight, get lean, and start training for this race in December. So the one in December, there's several different time slots that you can sign up for. I'm signed up for the 24-hour time. So I have 24 hours on this 1.1 mile trail loop to run as many loops as I can. So again, this is kind of a small barrier to entry because you can sign up and you can run 4 loops in that 24 hours if you want, or you can try to, reach for the moon. So you can do as much or as little as you want. You can rest when you want. You can sleep when you want. You can eat when you want. But I'm training right now, and my plan is to run for 24 hours and get 50 miles. So that'll be my first ultra and my longest distance so far. But training's going well. Like I said, I'm a dad. I got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. So my time is very valuable. So the one place that I can afford to get training in is in the mornings. So most of the time I'm out on a trail with a headlamp in the dark by myself. Occasionally I'll have somebody show up with me, but a lot of the time is spent in silence and solitude with a headlamp. And that's been, kind of my therapy. It gives me time to just be quiet, be in creation, listen to God, talk to God, hear from God. A lot of times I'm reading a chapter or some verses, and I'm going out and just meditating on that while I'm running. And to be honest, running, over the last several years has really changed my life. It puts me into a position where I'm doing really hard things that I really don't want to do all the time. There's never a morning where I wake up and I'm like just jumping out of bed, so excited that I have to go out and run. Usually I'm waiting till the last second to get out of my bed, and I'm silencing the alarm several times. But there's never a time where I'm on my way home where I'm regretting getting out and going to do that. So, running's been a big part of my fitness journey. It's been a big part of my kind of testimony and transformation over the last few years as well.
I love that. And I feel like we could almost do a whole little podcast on that itself, because back in June, I stopped running for like 3 or 4 months just because I was having some injury issues. And I was like, I'm going to put on a bulk or put on some weight and whatnot. But I need to run. So I started getting out there more recently, and just having that solitude and just being out there in your own headspace. And that's what I need. And I know it's so much different than being in the actual gym, because in between sets, I'll get lost in my phone sometimes. But when you're out there running, you're constantly moving. And I feel like that's a big difference for me, between the gym and running.
Yeah, I think you need to have both. And that's one thing that I've gotten back to this summer, is making sure I'm spending time working out as well. Because it helps keep you running. Everybody says, "Oh, running's bad for your knees." I heard somebody say, "Why are so many people that don't run so concerned with how bad running is for my knees?" Like, how about you let me worry about that? But it's true. Like, running is bad for your knees if you're not doing the things to take care of your knees outside of running. But when you're strength training and you're building a solid base, running can be an extremely beneficial part of your fitness. And I think a lot of people have a misrepresentation of what running is. Like, they think, "Oh, I'm this slow, I'm not really a runner." Like, if you're going out and you're walking fast at a trot, you're running. And it doesn't have to be some, the New York Marathon was yesterday, and Kipchoge, he's one of the most famous marathoners in the world. And he's the one that broke the 2-hour marathon. You don't have to be running Kipchoge pace to be considered a runner. There's people that finish that race in 6 and 7 hours. They're not going to say, "I'm not a runner." They have a medal that's hanging around their neck that says they completed the New York Marathon. And the person that finished in 2.5 hours gets that same exact medal. And, running is running. So whether you're fast or slow, it's beneficial. So if it's hurting you and you're in pain and you hate it, maybe just try going slower. You might love it.
I agree. And I think, I know there are different competitions with like powerlifting and bodybuilding shows, but I think it's also different for a race, in my opinion, because you're competing with nobody but yourself.
Yeah.
And just getting out there and just trying to beat your last time. And like you said earlier, you did a race and you didn't do so hot, and it just put that drive or fire in you. I was the same way. I've done 2 marathons myself, and the first one I thought I did super well, and then my second one was almost an hour past that time, and like that just eats at me, and it definitely makes me want to go ahead and just crush the next one, whenever that may be. But I think running and signing up for a race is definitely going to help drive you physically, but also when I'm training for a race, that's when I feel like I'm the most involved in my faith, when I'm the most involved in the business, and I'm there and I'm dialed in.
Yeah, somebody once said, if you want to get in shape, train for a 5K or train for a half marathon. If you want to change your life, train for a marathon. And so many times, and I'm sure you could testify to it as well, when you get to the marathon, like, you think that's what you're training for, and you find out this is just the celebration for the last 18 to 20 weeks or whatever it was. That was the actual race. That was the hard work, is waking up early, running when you're tired, running when you're not feeling well, running when you're sore, staying dialed in and disciplined on your nutrition and your recovery. And the amount of growth that happens in those weeks, man, I wish I could bottle that up and sell it because I'd be a millionaire. But it's just something you cannot get without going through the process. And I wish everybody could have that opportunity to push to something that's further than what they believe they're capable of doing, and watch their transformation along the way.
I agree 100%. I love that quote, and I'm going to steal that. I saw Doug's comment. Yeah. Maybe we'll see how good a shape I can get in.
Yeah, he's already signed you up, so he'll text you the details later.
Right. This is the time we need you to be there, and
yep.
Well, I'm wanting to keep this not super long. So if you have anything else that you want to share, let me know, and we can go ahead and we talk about that.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say, to anybody who's watching or who will watch this later is I encourage you to get uncomfortable. Comfort is the biggest tool that the enemy uses for men to keep us away from achieving what we're supposed to be achieving, what God's called us to be. And comfort, man, is like it is the enemy. And when you can get yourself uncomfortable, whether that's signing up for a church group and getting involved in your church, going to church, reading your Bible, talking about your problems and not just bottling them up and drinking them away, signing up for a race in Tennessee, like no fun, not trying to hit anything. But find something wherever your comfort level is to get outside your comfort zone. It sounds cliche, and it's cliche for a reason, but growth happens outside your comfort zone. If you want to grow, you got to get uncomfortable. So I'd encourage you to get uncomfortable. Talk to somebody if you don't know what that means. If you don't know how to get there, like find somebody in your community, reach out to, Austin, reach out to somebody to talk through what that looks like for you. I'm always more than willing to help. I'm pretty responsive on my DMs. I haven't blown up too big yet to where I have an assistant doing that for me. So I answer all my own stuff, but, yeah, that's my one last thing I'd leave is find a way to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, 100%. That's spot on. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to end in prayer.
Yeah.
Dear Jesus, we come to you today and we just thank you for all that you do. We just ask that you allow us to glorify you in everything that we do. I just ask that you continue to be with Tim and just everything that he's doing. He is just spreading your name, and I just ask that you continue to bless him, bless his family, and we love you, and we thank you for everything that you do for us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Man. Thanks for the opportunity, man. I really enjoyed this.
Of course. It's been a pleasure. We definitely got to do it again. Like I said, I feel like running could be a whole podcast within itself.
Yeah, it really could.
But you got me thinking about December a little bit more. So
we had a guy sign up this weekend who hasn't ran at all yet. So there's opportunities. Yep.
That's incredible. Send me the link.
I'll send it.
All right, man. You have a wonderful day.
All right. You too, buddy. Bye.
Bye.